We're just so small. We're just a boy band from Korea.
They always say I can't wait to hear.
I need this whole stimulate the hump.
Can we say oozing swag in the comments?
Pass out.
Rolling Stone.
Cover of Rolling Stone. I even realized that's what it was.
100 songs, 110 songs. I've heard from you guys that there were many songs. How do you narrow that down? How do you decide what to focus on? How many of them are finished? What are the ones that aren't on the album? What do they like? Are the ones you
Are
miss?
we ever going to get them?
나 우리 만들었던 거 어떻게
You better stop.
Maybe.
Individually or something.
우리 안에서
Keep them internal, baby.
저희가 만들었던 곡들은 저희가 다 같이 모여서 듣고 회사 직원분들도 따로 다 같이 들으면서 의견 취합을 다 같이 한 것 같아요. 이 곡은 좋은 것 같다. 이 곡은 그래도 단체 앨범에 좀 결이 다른 느낌이 있지 않나 뭐 이런 식으로 의견을 내면서 한 곡 이렇게 그 곡은 정말 다 들어봤어요.
Is there footage of that?
I love that.
process? Oh, I'm sure
I
there's.
Does it ever become not a fight but an argument about I love this song, you don't love this song has to be on there? How intense is that discussion here? Because it's important when it makes up an album.
사실 정해진 게 아무것도 없었어서 그런 일은 없었습니다. 우리끼리 그냥 하게 우리 때는 뭐 이런 그냥 이야기를
엄청 떨리지 않나?
John looks like we don't fight. John looks like, oh, was I there?
바디투바디만 로컬 녹음 직전까지 다른 곡을 집어넣겠다고 막 회의를 몇 번 했다가 결국에 막 빠지고 나랑 남준이가 되게 좋아했던 곡이 곡 고를 때 말고 작업할 때 곡 고를 때 말고 아 그래?
I'll take it.
다른 무대
There were a lot of conflicts.
I
Wish to go, wish not to go. You know, maybe like two of us, like really strongly, you know, claim that this song has to be album. If they have some logics or stuff, you know, some even the major number is gonna like, this has to be a song that is gonna. There were like so many conflicts. I can't even remember.
So it could have been, you could have chosen 14 different songs and we would be having a whole different discussion on what kind of album this is that fair to say?
무조건이죠.
무조건.
Yeah.
Does anyone have like one song that they're still thinking about or they can't let go?
That's a good question.
근데 이게 있어도 저희가 말을 못 해드려요.
몇개 있었던 것 같아요. 이거 아쉽다 이러면서.
This album is so strong, so good, and I feel like it's, at least in part, the answer to the question that you all posed in 2022 after Butter and Permission to Dance and Dynamite, that there was a question of who BTS was and what you would do next. But I was wondering about how everyone felt about that hitting that moment and the sort of debate about what to do next.
뭐 정체성에 관련된 거는 뭐 사실 뭐 이번 앨범뿐만 아니라 계속해서 저희가 그런 것들 담아왔고 앞으로도 계속 가지 않을까. 이게 또 그 나이 때마다 또 그 환경마다 계속해서 이제 생각들이 바뀌다 보니 그런 것들이 이제 계속 앨범에 들어가야 그게 이제 뭐 저희가 나아갈 방향이다.
I like it.
뭐 사실 정체성이란 거는 늘 사실 연구를 해두고 작업을 하고 있고 이번 앨범에서는 특히나 그 정체성이 더 뭔가 보여지는 그런 앨범을 다 같이 만든 것 같고요. 그리고 사실 어떤 곡이든 뭐 버터든 다이너마이트든 퍼미션 투 댄스든 그때 그 시기에 맞춰서 할 수 있는 우리들의 음악들을 하고 계속해서 보여주고 그 음악을 통해서 뭐 다 같이 즐길 수가 있다면 그것만으로도 굉장히 좋은 의미가 아닌가라는 생각도 들어요.
So I think the only consensus we had after the ministry was that we all are rooted in Korea, and then we came through quite a journey, if we could call it like that.
Is he
And
counting
then
back of his
let's
head?
start from there, and let's get back to some point, but let's move on for some parts. So you know, it was all about like controlling and finding some point, musically, visually. I think we're still, you know, everyone thinks different right now. So, you know, but the Korean thing was that I think that's our identity.
I feel like there's also a push and pull in general between the rappers and the singers, and which sort of predominates. Everyone gets their shot on this album, but I feel like there's a slight rebalancing back towards the rapping, which is really very core to BTS. I wonder how conscious that was.
의도적이라기보다는 우리가 할 수 있는 선에서 뭔가 할 수 있는 것들을 많이 해보자.
I need more specifics, Hobie.
해봤기 때문에 자연스럽게 그런 뭔가 폼이 나오고 뭐 어쨌든 그런 우리들의 어렸을 때 그런 뿌리들과 그리고 우리가 들어왔던 음악들과 이런 것들이 조금씩은 지금의 우리에게도 영향이 있지 않나라는 생각도 들고요. 네, 그냥 사실 너무 재밌게 음악하고 만들고 있어서 네, 그리고 오랜만에 팀으로 와가지고 이렇게
I know we're happy to be back as a group, but why more rap heavy, you know?
더 그런 진정성이 있는 또 이번 앨범이 탄생이 된 것 같고
It is authentic. If anything, it's BTS.
I love on Hooligan. I'm obsessed with the falsetto part. You know, it's so fun to hear everyone sing it. What do you remember about coming up with that part and also distributing it among the singers?
Interesting. 곡들을 전반적으로 사실 정국이가 좀 많이 컨트롤을 했고 제가 딱 세션에 도착했을 때 그 훌리건을 딱 작업을 하고 있었고 들어보라고 들었는데 그럼 뭐 말씀해주신 그런 보컬 파트나 랩 파트나 너무 잘 만들어져 있는 그런 곡이었고
그리고 노래 부를 수 있는 그걸 완전 랩사들을 위한 약간 곡이었고 사실 보컬은 뭐 정말 필요도 없이 딱떤 구간이 정해져 있어가지고 사람으로 좀 랩도 그렇고 노래도 그렇고 좀 힘을 좀 빼려고 좀 많이 한 앨범이라 좀 밸런스가 이번에는 좀 좋은 것 같아요 이번 앨범.
Who has the highest range? Who can hit the highest falsetto? 너무 월등하게 높죠.
이번 앨범에 좀 고생 많이 했다고.
우리 팀의 영원한 플레이 같은 거죠. 그럴 때가 있는 친구들 있고 또 낮은 친구들 있고 이런 것들을 어떻게 조화롭게 만들어내냐가 사실 BTS 곡을 만드는 데 있어서 굉장히 좀 해결을 해야 되는 부분들이 있고 그런 것들을 잘 해결했기 때문에 또 좋은 곡들이 많이 탄생이 됐고
저는 그래도 생각인데 많이 배웠죠. 지난 앨범들로 인해 계속 배우고 나서 이제 그나마 좀 괜찮아졌는데 그래도 아직까지는 여전히 저한테 숙제로 남아있긴
너무 잘합니다.
One of the key decisions, it seems like making this album was to include Arang on Body's Body. How did that become part of that song?
Hitman Bang, which is our
Hitman.
director, he came up with that idea. He and his producer edited it into one song and then gave us a listen. And then first time, nah. Second time,
We loved it.
okay, I'm getting convinced. Third time, I think this version should be like this.
Wow. People might forget, but you have actually sung that. It's of course not on the album, but you have sung that whole song.
제가 어디서 불렀죠?
10 years ago.
I like it.
It's a haunting song, a beautiful song, 600 years old.
If you're a Korean, everyone knows the song.
600 years.
Just you know, mouth to mouth. It's not in the textbook or from the school. Just everyone just somehow gets to know the song in Korea.
Passed down.
And I told you before, we were not we couldn't reach a specific consensus even after the military. So, but I told you like there was one thing that we all know, that we are all from rooted in Korea, and the label like also talked a lot about the things what we want to do next for the 2.0, and they taught us all the histories about Howard. It was in 1896. Exactly 130 years ago. The funny thing is that there were 7 guys took the ship to record the first song.
That's awesome.
With the Korean lyrics and Korean voice. So I think it's very we felt like this is a kind of destiny, like a time machine.
That's why I
like
said
they were sending to us. Maybe.
you are
So
exactly who
if
you
we
think you
claim ourselves, our next chapter as like a new Arirang, then I think it could symbolize us very well, and it's gonna be really cool.
The resonance is really cool.
Yes.
The harmony is amazing. Like
That was an amazing idea.
But the song Aliens is at least a double entendre. It's like you guys are so cool and so unique. You're like space aliens, but there's also an element you're talking about, sort of the idea of being seen as foreign when you go abroad. I think both things are happening in that song.
We gotta dive into it.
Tell me about that metaphor and that song coming together.
Wow,
alien.
그 원래는 가사가 에일리언이 아니라
Right.
endless.
endless였는데 그게 endless가 이제 에일리언으로 바꿨으면 좋겠다고 아이디어를 내서 에일리언으로 바꿨죠.
남정이 아이디어를 내주셨던
The original thing was endless. So I was like endless, like something like that. And the song was really catchy. It sounded nice. With Mike Will made it. He's a crazy producer. He's so great. But like it's something to endless. Okay. Maybe we need a more sharper edgy thing. And I don't know, like someone who came up with that idea, but endless and aliens, they sound really similar. So we changed to aliens, and I wrote the lyrics with, what if we just, we just claim ourselves as aliens to all those foreigners abroad, and just saying like, brother, please get your slides, indoors, because, I know you guys go to the hotel bag with your shoes on, and that's so dirty. It's a little like a humor and like sarcasm like that. Yeah, so just since this album is about the being proud as Korean and an Asian, we try to put some the materials that we only have. That we are Koreans and we're from the Far East Asia.
For aliens, I think there's a hope that maybe you'll land your ship at the Super Bowl next year. I'm wondering how you guys feel about that. For some reason, after Bad Bunny is of course American.
It was so cool.
And it was so amazing. But I think the idea of
I want to hear what Jay
a non-English language Super Bowl halftime show, suddenly people are thinking, well, why not BTS? So I wonder how you all feel about that.
Next year.
말씀
Thank
너무
y'all.
많아.
I love it. Oh,
뭐 사실
No, I wouldn't go. I couldn't.
어떤 아티스트는 사실 꿈의 무대이기도 하고 슈퍼볼은
JK
특히나
smile
더
big. What he knows.
그쪽 문화권에 있는 아티스트들한테도 더 되게 엄청난 무대인 거라서 사실 저희는 저희 할 것들을 일단은 열심히 하고 거기에 맞게끔 주어진 대로 뭔가들을 많이 앞으로 헤쳐나가지 않을까라는 생각이 들어요. 네.
무대를 봤는데 되게 멋있는 무대더라고요. 그래서 상상을 하긴 해요. 우리는 퍼포먼스가 꽤 많은 그룹인데 만약에 우리가 한다면 거기서 우리는 어떤 무대를 할 수 있을까라고 상상을 하는데 그건 이제 저희를 불러주셨을 때 영향이니까 언젠가 기회가 된다면 기회를 한번 노려보도록 하겠습니다.
And Jungkook, you grimaced when I said Super Bowl.
하고는 싶은데 불러주지 수 있는 거예요.
I noticed it too.
Jungkook was almost there because Usher invited him for the military. But yeah, it didn't work out because he went to the military. So this
yes.
like unofficially, I think it's the best event and a show stage, in the whole world. And that way he was amazing. And I know he's from Puerto Rico, and he's also an American. So I think there was kind of context between all of that and the flow of the everything.
June, it wasn't
everything,
easy.
but yeah, we always like thought of like, what if we like do some parts in the Super Bowl? Maybe we could like collaborate with other artists like the Coldplay and Bruno Mars did, and like Lady Gaga did this Bad Bunny. Maybe if the time goes by and the thoughts in the people change, gets to change. You know, all of the people in the world are watching like Parasites, all those great things like Korean culture. So, you know, if there's a chance, then definitely want to someday.
I wanted to ask you all thought the first time you heard the lyrics
This is
to
the coolest song.
Jungkook's great song 7, the explicit version.
I feel like
You know, in the band, if you were shocked or amused
Jake
or
was like, I don't really know the lyrics,
if
maybe.
you gave a shit on text or what.
컸다.
That's a grown man.
What were the lyrics?
일주일 내내 너를 사랑할 거야?
All week long.
I will love you all week long.
원래는 여기인데 이제
Say it.
착한 버전이 이제 러뷰고
수업 아니었어?
Yes, that's what it was.
뭐야 가사 정확히 기억이 안 나. So it was afterwards,
Loving you right.
before
This guy knows.
before love,
Oh.
and the label wanted to change it to love. It was originally afterward, but I told the label, please don't change. Why? 이게 생각나요?
I've seen this.
We were all excited to have all your
잘한 보고 나왔을 것 같아.
Wasn't embarrassed at all, babe.
어때? 이런 느낌이었어요.
you talk about trying to leapfrog, and basically you're addressing theoretical competitors. You know, people trying to keep up with you.
Because they're not even
But
there,
it's
babe.
weird because you don't. I was trying to think who those competitors were. You're in your own
생각보다는 결국 우리의 정체선은 상대의 우리라고 생각을 들어서
Good answer, media trades, man.
다음 스텝은 무엇인가? 그러니까 우리의 그 전의 모습을 어떻게 깰 것인가에 저는 좀 생각을 했었던 것 같아요. 그래서 사실 조금 더 여유롭고 뭔가 그냥 좀 가볍게 하는데 멋이 있는 그런 것들을 좀 추구하려고 많이 노력을 했고 그런 식으로 또 작업도 했고 스포이너라는 곡이 굉장히 재밌게 나오지 않았나. 그리고 퍼포먼스도 또 그동안 해왔던 그런 BTS의 모습과는 달리 또 나를
그 맨 처음 곡 작업을 할 때 키워드를
잠깐만. 너 콧물 나.
Just leave it in there, bud.
왜 웃지? 일단 스포이너가 호비 형이 일단은 아이디어를 가지고 그 스포이너라는 키워드 어때를 호비 형이 가지고 나서 그거 좋은데 해서 이제 스포이너라는
Shout out to Hobie.
주제로 이제
세션에 이렇게 있었는데 BJ로 있었는데 그때는 이제 사실 세션이다 보니까 너무 졸렸어요. 그게 비트만 들으면은 진짜 와 진짜 죽을 맛이야. 근데 그만큼 되게 치열하게 나온 것 같아. 나는 그 기분을 담아서 재밌었어요. 나온 것 같아. 마늘빵이 계속 나오는데 스네어가 탕탕탕탕탕탕
그거만 했었어.
should have so many cool producers on this album, and I know you're a producer yourself. And I'm curious, you know, some moments where maybe you learned something from from a Kevin Parker, or you know things that may have, or maybe where they learned from you, because that's very possible too.
확실히 좀 이 작업 방식이 워낙 이제 뭐 미국 친구들이 워낙 좀 자유롭고 또 워낙 잘하다 보니까 저도 뭐 엄청 많이 배웠고 또 그 친구들이 음악에 접근하는 방식도 되게 좀 새롭고 그래서 되게 엄청 재밌게 작업을 많이 한 것 같아요.
Fire is such an incredible song, but I think that's the one where you where there's a mention of both Michael Jackson and Britney Spears.
Sure is.
And I was wondering if some of you might want to talk about their impact.
Please.
So, I mean, they are
Interesting.
Yeah, they're just truly icons, and Fire's just started from the word fire because it was the most used words out of the whole session. Like when somebody likes a beat or a word or an outfit, and it's like that's fire, that's fire, that's fire. It's like like 100 times a day. We hear it like every day, and
He's talking about like the
everybody starts to use the word.
and he
You're
explained
almost
this
making
before.
fun of the American producers by saying that. Because I keep saying it, Chris.
Y'all that's fire. That's fire, man. So we were trying to copy him. Y'all that's fire too.
I never thought about it.
Okay.
Like he was
I just
trying to make it fun, but just being like, "Say by your
use that word into a song and just perfectly match the beat. And then I just hope it could be like a nuts song, like just mosh it. Everyone just could just jump
So what?
and just doing the mosh pit thing. And then
We're talking about
why we use the Britney and Michael Jackson is there because they are truly icons and nobody just doesn't know them.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all. Yeah.
2.0 was almost addressed at yourselves, you said. But I mean, if I think of any competition for you, I think of, Taylor Swift, Harry Styles, Bruno Mars. If there's any competition, that's who it is.
They're greater artists than us. We're just so small. We're just a boy band from Korea. And actually 2.0 is, it's about a lot of things.
We're gonna get back.
I also thought about haters. Just like, there are still,
A lot of haters.
I think there are really people who just pray with a bottle of water in their home and then just please, BTS, just go fall down.
Praying for
Please,
BTS's
BTS
downfall.
just break apart and collapse. I think there are people like that.
There are,
Just we're thinking about, okay guys, for 2-3 years, we have been apart, to all demonstrate, and we are past, people are still, there are armies waiting for us, the world is waiting for us, so you guys have your little fun, and then knock knock and shoot and bye.
Yes, collectively, thanks so much for joining me, and again, welcome back to the Cover Wrong Sound.
So good.
Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, good. Okay.
Man, absolutely. I guess the cover shoot is our photo shoot.
These were so good. I really can't appreciate you see that it's
It's that dude. Hold up.
I really